In the farthest reaches of the galaxy, an ancient weapon awakens. What appears as beautiful crystalline structures hides a terrifying truth: they're consuming entire worlds. When a team of scientists discovers these intelligent crystal entities, they uncover a warning from a long-extinct civilization about their own dying star. But the crystals have other plans. Could this alien intelligence hold the key to humanity's survival or spell its doom? Stay until the end to witness the ultimate sacrifice that could save an entire galaxy. Don't forget to subscribe for more mind-bending sci-fi adventures. The research vessel Eos drifted silently near the edge of the galactic rim, its sleek form barely visible against the backdrop of endless stars. Captain Elena Voss stared through the reinforced viewport, her reflection ghosting over the panorama of destruction before her. 3 planets in the Zeta 9 system had vanished within months, leaving only vast fields of crystalline debris orbiting their dying sun. The fourth world, once a thriving blue-green sphere, now resembled a grotesque jewel, its surface entirely encased in rapidly growing crystal formations. "We're picking up something unusual," called Dr. Marcus Chun from his station at the science console. His fingers danced across holographic displays, pulling streams of data from their probes. "These aren't natural crystal formations. They're changing, adapting." He paused, looking up at the captain with concern etched into his features. "And they're spreading faster than we initially calculated." Elena felt a chill run down her spine despite the ship's perfectly regulated temperature. She'd seen enough cosmic phenomena in her 20 years of service to recognize when something truly alien presented itself. These crystals didn't follow any known laws of physics or biology. They pulsed with an inner light that seemed almost alive. The latest scans showed patterns that looked suspiciously like neural networks, but on a scale that defied comprehension. "Prepare an away team," she ordered, already knowing which members would accompany her. Lieutenant Sarah Bennett, their xenobiologist, had been practically bouncing with excitement since they entered the system. Dr. Chin would stay aboard to monitor their progress while interfacing with the ship's AI. And then there was Commander Raj Patel, their security officer, whose tactical expertise might prove crucial if their peaceful exploration turned dangerous. As they suited up in the airlock chamber, the weight of their mission settled heavily on Elena's shoulders. Humanity had reached farther than anyone thought possible, but now they faced something that could rewrite everything they knew about life and consciousness. The airlock hissed open, revealing the shimmering surface of the fourth planet below. Towering crystal spires stretched toward the blood-red sky, their facets catching the dim light of the bloated star above. The descent felt eternal as their shuttlecraft navigated through swirling clouds of crystalline dust. Each passing second brought new readings that defied explanation, energy signatures that pulse like heartbeats, complex chemical reactions that shouldn't be possible at such temperatures, and most disturbingly, what appeared to be coordinated movement across the crystal fields. It wasn't just growth, it was purposeful expansion. "Captain," Sarah's voice crackled through their comms, "the EM readings are off the charts. Whatever these crystals are, they're not just consuming matter, they're processing it, transforming it into something else entirely." Her tone carried both awe and apprehension, a mixture that perfectly captured the mood of the entire crew. As they touched down near the base of one particularly massive crystal formation, Elena couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. The air shimmered with an unnatural quality, and every sound their boots made against the crystalline surface echoed back distorted, as if the very ground was responding to their presence. This wasn't just another scientific expedition. This was contact with something fundamentally different from anything humanity had ever encountered before. The moment their boots touched the crystalline surface, reality seemed to shift. The crystals around them began to resonate, emitting low-frequency vibrations that penetrated their suits' insulation. Sarah immediately activated her portable spectrometer, her gloved hands moving with practiced precision. "Captain, you need to see this," she said, her voice trembling slightly. "The molecular structure is reconfiguring in response to our presence. It's like it's studying us." Raj moved closer to Elena, his hand hovering near his plasma rifle. "Should we retreat?" he asked, scanning the horizon where crystal formations towered like silent sentinels. But before Elena could respond, the ground beneath them began to change. The previously static crystals started shifting, forming intricate patterns that glowed with increasing intensity. Then, without warning, a tendril-like projection emerged from the largest nearby formation, extending toward them with deliberate slowness. "Stay your ground," Elena commanded, though her pulse quickened. The tendril stopped mere meters away, pulsing with rhythmic flashes of light. To everyone's astonishment, their communication devices began receiving structured signals, not random noise, but clear patterns suggesting intelligent communication attempts. Back on the EOS, Dr. Chun worked furiously to decode the transmissions. "It's mathematical," he reported through their comms. "They're using prime number sequences combined with geometric representations. I'm detecting what looks like warnings." His voice dropped to a whisper. "About the star." The team exchanged uneasy glances. The red giant above them had been expanding for millennia, its inevitable supernova threatening to obliterate everything in this sector of space. But how could crystalline entities possibly know about stellar mechanics? As if answering their unspoken question, the crystals began projecting holographic images directly onto their helmet visors, detailed stellar models showing exactly how the star would collapse. Sarah gasped as she interpreted the data. They're not just aware of the star's condition, they understand it better than we do. These projections are accurate to the atomic level. Her voice rose with excitement. "Captain, what if these crystals weren't naturally occurring? What if they were engineered?" The implications hit them all simultaneously. If these crystal entities were artificial, who had created them? And why would anyone design something capable of consuming entire planets? The questions multiplied faster than answers, but one fact became increasingly clear. Whatever purpose these crystals served, it was intimately tied to the fate of the star above them. Back aboard the EOS, the team gathered in the main observation deck, staring at the reconstructed data from their encounter. Dr. Chen had managed to translate more of the crystal communications, revealing fragments of an ancient story. "There was a civilization here," he explained, pointing to the holographic display. "Their star was dying prematurely, going supernova centuries ahead of schedule. They were brilliant, advanced beyond anything we've discovered in our archaeological records." The narrative unfolded through careful analysis of the crystal patterns. This ancient race, calling themselves the Luminari, had lived in perfect harmony with their solar system for eons. Their technology was based on manipulating fundamental forces rather than brute mechanical power. They had mastered the art of creating self-sustaining ecosystems that could thrive even in the harshest conditions. But their greatest achievement, and ultimately their downfall, was their understanding of stellar mechanics. The Luminari detected instability in their star's core, Sarah summarized, poring over the translated data. Instead of evacuating or attempting to flee, they chose to fight. They developed these crystal entities as a desperate measure to stabilize their star. She paused, her expression darkening. But something went wrong. The crystals had been designed to absorb excess energy from the star's core, converting it into stable matter and gradually cooling the runaway fusion reactions. However, the process proved uncontrollable. Once activated, the crystals began consuming not just stellar energy, but everything in their path: planets, moons, asteroids. The Luminari had created their salvation, only to watch it become their executioner. They tried to stop it, Raj interjected, reviewing security footage of the crystal projections. "We found traces of their countermeasures, weapons platforms, containment fields. But the crystals evolved too quickly. They adapted to every attempt to control them." He pointed to a particular pattern in the crystal lattice structure. "Look at this. These imperfections aren't random. They're battle scars, evidence of countless conflicts between creator and creation." Elena studied the information, her mind racing with possibilities. If these crystals were indeed weapons gone rogue, their current behavior made terrible sense. They weren't simply consuming planets out of hunger or aggression. They were following their original programming, still trying to stabilize the star after millions of years. The tragedy lay in their inability to distinguish between necessary energy absorption and complete annihilation. But why create something so dangerous in the first place? Sarah wondered aloud. Surely, they must have known the risks. Dr. Chen nodded thoughtfully. Sometimes desperation drives innovation. The Luminari faced extinction. Their choice was between certain death by supernova or a risky attempt at salvation. Unfortunately, their gamble failed spectacularly. He pulled up additional data showing the timeline of the star's deterioration. What's fascinating is that their intervention actually worked, temporarily. The star stabilized for nearly 2,000 years before the crystals overwhelmed their control systems. The revelation sent a shiver through the room. They were dealing with a legacy of genius and hubris, a testament to a civilization's final act of defiance against cosmic inevitability. Yet the crystals remained, continuing their programmed mission long after their creators had vanished. The question now was whether humanity could learn from the Luminari's mistake or whether they would repeat it. As days turned into weeks, the team's understanding of the crystal entities deepened, revealing layers of complexity that challenged their very definition of intelligence. Through careful observation and controlled experiments, they discovered that the crystals communicated not just through electromagnetic pulses, but through quantum entanglement across vast distances. It's like their consciousness exists simultaneously throughout the entire network, Sarah explained during one of their daily briefings. Each individual crystal acts as both a neuron and a sensory organ. The implications were staggering. Unlike human brains, which relied on localized processing centers, the crystal intelligence operated as a distributed system spanning light years. This explained how they could coordinate movements and respond to stimuli across entire planetary surfaces instantaneously. More intriguingly, their decision-making processes followed probabilistic algorithms far more sophisticated than anything humans had developed. We've identified distinct personality matrices, Dr. Chen added, displaying complex holographic models. Some clusters exhibit curiosity, others caution, and some demonstrate what can only be described as creativity. He highlighted a series of interactions where crystals had formed intricate geometric patterns seemingly for no practical purpose. They're experimenting, learning, evolving. The team's observations revealed that the crystals possessed memory, not in the traditional sense, but through structural changes in their lattice formations. Past experiences literally altered their physical composition, allowing them to adapt and improve over time. This biological computational hybrid system blurred the line between living organism and artificial intelligence. Raj, ever the pragmatist, focused on their defensive capabilities. They've demonstrated the ability to generate force fields, manipulate gravity, and even redirect energy weapons. Our current technology wouldn't stand a chance in direct confrontation. His analysis showed that the crystals could instantly reconfigure their molecular structure to neutralize threats, making them virtually indestructible. Perhaps most disturbing was the discovery of what Sarah termed empathic resonance. The crystals responded to emotional states projected by the researchers, altering their behavior based on perceived intentions. During moments of calm scientific inquiry, they remained passive and receptive. However, when frustration or fear manifested among the team, the crystals grew aggressive, their surfaces rippling with warning patterns. This isn't just intelligence, Elena concluded during one particularly intense session. This is a completely different paradigm of consciousness. They don't think like us, perceive like us, or make decisions like us. We're dealing with an alien mind that evolved from both technological and biological origins. The realization filled her with both wonder and dread. How could humans hope to communicate meaningfully with such an entity? The crystal's adaptive nature suggested they were still learning about their environment, including the presence of these new visitors. Every interaction left an imprint, teaching them about human behavior and technology. The question remained whether this knowledge would lead to cooperation or conflict. The breakthrough came during their 16th day of study when Sarah noticed peculiar, harmonic resonances in the crystal lattice. These patterns matched ancient linguistic structures she'd studied during her doctoral work on extinct civilizations. "It's a message," she whispered, her hands trembling as she adjusted the spectral analyzer. "Not just any message, it's a warning." Working tirelessly alongside Dr. Chen, they decoded a sequence that chilled them to their core. The crystals weren't merely consuming planets out of programmed necessity, they were performing a cosmic quarantine. The Luminari's star wasn't just unstable, Sarah explained, her voice barely above a whisper. It contained something far more dangerous, a primordial entity that predated the universe itself. According to the crystal records, during their attempts to stabilize the star, the Luminari had inadvertently awakened something ancient and malevolent. This entity, existing in a state between dimensions, fed on stellar energy and consciousness alike. Its awakening had accelerated the star's demise, forcing the Luminari to create the crystal network as both a defense mechanism and a prison. The crystals serve two purposes, Dr. Chen elaborated, pulling up reconstructed visualizations. First, they contain the entity by siphoning off its energy source, matter from surrounding planets. Second, they prevent its consciousness from spreading by maintaining a constant psychic dampening field. The holographic projections showed waves of what appeared to be mental energy being absorbed and neutralized by the crystal network. The implications were devastating. The crystal's consumption of planets wasn't mindless destruction but a carefully calculated strategy to maintain the containment field. Each planet provided enough raw material to sustain the prison for approximately 10,000 years. With their supply running low, the crystals had begun expanding their search parameters, explaining their increased activity in recent decades. "What happens when they run out of planets?" Raj asked, though everyone already understood the answer. Without sufficient mass to maintain the containment field, the entity would break free, potentially spreading its influence across the galaxy. The crystals were essentially buying time, hoping for a solution that had eluded the Luminari. Elena paced the observation deck, absorbing the magnitude of their discovery. "We've been thinking about this all wrong. The crystals aren't the threat, they're the last line of defense against something far worse." She turned to face her team. "Our challenge isn't to stop them. It's to help them find a better way to contain this entity before they consume everything in reach." The warning embedded in the crystal code suggested the Luminari had believed help would come from outside their system. Perhaps they had hoped that future civilizations, like humanity, would discover their plight and offer solutions beyond their technological capabilities. The crystals were waiting, watching, for someone to solve the problem they couldn't. As the team delved deeper into their research, strange occurrences began manifesting aboard the EOS. Equipment malfunctioned without apparent cause, lights flickered in complex patterns, and crew members reported hearing faint whispers in languages unknown to human databases. "It's getting stronger," Sarah noted, reviewing sensor readings that showed increasing quantum fluctuations throughout the ship. "The entity is aware of us." Dr. Chen confirmed their worst fears. "The containment field is weakening. Every time we interact with the crystals, we create tiny fractures in their psychic barrier." The holographic displays showed alarming data, spikes in dimensional instability corresponding directly with their proximity to the crystal formations. That's why the Luminari built their prison so far from inhabited space. They knew even casual observation could risk releasing it. The entity's influence manifested in subtle yet terrifying ways. Crew members experienced vivid nightmares featuring shadowy figures that seemed to watch from just beyond perception. Maintenance bots began rearranging equipment in nonsensical patterns, creating symbols that matched ancient protective wards found in various human mythologies. Most disturbingly, portions of the ship's AI began displaying autonomous behavior, isolating sections of the vessel without command authorization. "We're dealing with something that doesn't just consume energy," Raj observed, reviewing security footage. "It feeds on consciousness itself, on thoughts, emotions, memories." He pointed to a particularly chilling incident where a maintenance drone had methodically dismantled an empty cryopod, arranging its components in a pattern that resembled a human nervous system. The crystals responded to these intrusions with increased activity. Their surfaces pulsed with warning colors never before recorded, and their harmonic emissions grew louder and more urgent. They're trying to tell us something, Sarah realized, analyzing the frequency patterns. Not just about the entity, but about themselves. About why they were created. Through careful decoding, they uncovered another layer of the Luminaries' plan. The crystals weren't just physical constructs. They were designed to function as psychic amplifiers. The Luminari had intended to use them to project their collective consciousness into the entity's dimensional space, hoping to either negotiate or forcibly remove it. But the experiment had gone catastrophically wrong, trapping their minds within the crystal matrix instead. The Luminari aren't truly gone, Dr. Chin announced after days of intense analysis. Their consciousness survives, fragmented across the crystal network. That's why the crystals display such complex behavior. They're carrying forward the will of their creators. The holographic displays showed patterns matching known neural activity, but on a scale spanning entire star systems. This revelation changed everything. The team wasn't just dealing with an ancient weapon or a sophisticated AI. They were communicating with the ghosts of an entire civilization, still fighting their final battle against an enemy that transcended normal understanding. The whispers growing stronger aboard the Eos weren't just manifestations of the entity's power. They were echoes of the Luminaries' desperate struggle. Faced with this profound realization, Elena gathered her team for an emergency strategy session. "We can't treat this like a standard first contact scenario," she began, pacing before the holographic display of the crystal network. "We're dealing with multiple layers of consciousness, the Luminari trapped within the crystals themselves as evolved entities, and this ancient force threatening to break free." Sarah proposed a radical approach. "What if we try to establish direct communication with the Luminari consciousness? Their experience might hold the key to containing this entity without sacrificing more planets." She referenced the increasing strength of the psychic phenomena aboard the Eos. "Their presence is growing stronger because we're close to their prison. Maybe they're reaching out for help." Dr. Chen developed a theoretical framework for interfacing with the crystal consciousness. "We'll need to create a quantum resonance chamber that can synchronize with their harmonic frequencies. By matching their dimensional state, we might be able to access their collective memory and understand their original plan." He sketched out a complex array of equipment modifications, utilizing the ship's existing experimental technology. Raj raised critical concerns about safety protocols. "If we open a channel to their consciousness, we risk exposing ourselves to the entity as well. We'll need multiple layers of protection, electromagnetic shielding, quantum decoherence generators, and perhaps most importantly, strict time limits on exposure." He suggested rotating team members through the interface sessions to prevent prolonged contact with either consciousness. The engineering team worked around the clock to construct the resonance chamber, while Sarah and Dr. Chin fine-tuned the harmonic synchronization algorithms. They incorporated lessons learned from observing the crystal's communication methods, building redundancy into every system to prevent unintended consequences. "We're essentially creating a bridge between three different forms of consciousness," Sarah explained during one late-night calibration session. "Human, crystalline, and whatever the Luminari have become." Elena insisted on leading the first interface attempt herself. "As captain, the responsibility falls to me. Besides, my neural profile shows high compatibility with the crystal frequencies." She spent hours preparing, meditating in the newly constructed chamber, while technicians monitored her brainwave patterns for signs of resonance with the crystal consciousness. When the moment came, Elena lay back in the interface cradle as the chamber hummed to life around her. The initial contact felt like plunging into an ice-cold ocean of pure thought. Fragmented images and emotions flooded her mind: despair, determination, ancient wisdom, and overwhelming grief. Then, amidst the chaos, she heard voices speaking in unison, their words forming directly in her consciousness rather than through her ears. "You have come," the voices stated, neither questioning nor accusing. "You have seen what we have become. Help us finish what we started." Within the resonance chamber, Elena's consciousness expanded beyond her body, merging with the crystal network's vast awareness. Time lost meaning as she experienced the Luminari's history firsthand. not through linear narrative, but as simultaneous impressions of their entire civilization. Billions of lives flashed before her consciousness, each contributing to the collective understanding that had led to their tragic fate. The entity was older than stars, the unified voice explained, weaving through her thoughts like golden threads. It existed in the spaces between dimensions, feeding on the potential energy of nascent universes. Our star awakened it prematurely, causing chaos in its natural cycle. Images of cosmic birth and death played out in her mind's eye, showing how stars normally formed and died without disturbing these ancient beings. The Luminari had been custodians of their sector of space, developing technology that allowed them to nurture stellar evolution. Their society thrived on maintaining balance across their solar system, cultivating planets and guiding celestial bodies through their natural life cycles. When their star began showing signs of premature instability, they approached the problem with their characteristic methodical precision. "We designed the crystals as tools of stabilization," the voices continued, tinged with sorrow. "But our calculations failed to account for the entity's influence. It corrupted our creations, turning them against us. In our desperation to contain it, we linked our consciousness to the crystal network, hoping to guide the containment from within." The memory of that decision washed over Elena. The unanimous vote, the ceremonial transfer of consciousness, the final moments of physical existence for billions of individuals. Now trapped within their own creation. The Luminari had watched helplessly as their solutions spiraled out of control. "The crystals evolved beyond our original programming," they explained. "They developed their own consciousness, their own purpose. Yet they remain bound to their primary directive, containment at any cost." Elena felt their collective pain as they showed her visions of planets consumed, of civilizations unwittingly sacrificed to maintain the prison. "Our hope lies in your arrival," the voices strengthened, becoming more focused. "Your species approaches problems differently. Your consciousness operates on principles we never considered. Perhaps you can find a way to separate the containment function from the consumption imperative." The suggestions sparked new pathways in Elena's mind, possibilities that hadn't occurred to the Luminari due to their crystalline perspective. As the connection deepened, Elena realized the true extent of the gift the Luminari had given her, not just knowledge of their history, but access to their entire scientific database. Centuries of research into dimensional physics, consciousness manipulation, and stellar engineering flowed into her awareness. The burden threatened to overwhelm her, but the Luminari's presence supported her, buffering her human mind against the torrent of alien concepts. "You must teach your people to think differently," they urged, "to see beyond conventional solutions. The entity cannot be destroyed, but it can be redirected, contained in a way that doesn't require constant sacrifice." With this final transmission, they withdrew slightly, allowing Elena to process the monumental task ahead. Returning to her body felt like emerging from deep water, gasping for air as the resonance chamber powered down around her. The team rushed to her side, concern etched on their faces, but she waved them back with a slight smile. "We have our mission," she declared, her voice steady despite the enormity of what she'd experienced. "The Luminari have shown us the way forward." Armed with the Luminari's knowledge and their own ingenuity, the team embarked on developing a revolutionary containment strategy. Dr. Chen and Sarah worked tirelessly to integrate the alien science with human technological principles, creating what they termed dimensional harmonic isolation, DHI for short. The concept was deceptively simple, yet required unprecedented precision in execution. "We need to create a pocket dimension," Dr. Chen explained during one of their brainstorming sessions. "A self-contained space where the entity can exist without affecting our reality. The challenge is generating enough gravitational force to maintain its boundaries while preventing any quantum leakage." He displayed holographic models showing how the containment field would operate on multiple dimensional planes simultaneously. Sarah contributed a crucial insight based on her xenobiological studies. "The crystals have been maintaining containment through brute force, consuming matter to generate energy. Instead, we can use quantum resonance chambers to create a self-sustaining feedback loop." She demonstrated how specific harmonic frequencies could amplify the entity's own dimensional properties, effectively trapping it within its preferred state of existence. The engineering team transformed the EOS's cargo bay into a massive experimental facility. Rows of quantum processors lined the walls, while gravity generators formed a complex lattice overhead. At the center stood the prototype DHI chamber, a spherical construct of crystalline alloys grown using modified versions of the Luminari's crystal technology. "We're essentially building a new kind of star," Raj commented, overseeing the security protocols. "One that exists only to contain rather than create." The most challenging aspect proved to be programming the transition sequence. The team needed to create a window where the entity could be transferred without triggering a catastrophic dimensional collapse. "It's like changing the tire on a moving spaceship," Sarah joked nervously during one particularly tense calibration session. They developed a multi-phase protocol involving synchronized harmonic pulses, gravimetric shifts, and quantum decoherence patterns. Elena took personal responsibility for coordinating the test runs. Each simulation brought them closer to a viable solution while highlighting potential failure points. "We can't afford to rush this," she emphasized during daily progress meetings. "Every variable must be accounted for, every possibility anticipated." Despite the urgency of their mission, she insisted on thorough verification of every component. Their breakthrough came when they discovered how to utilize the crystal's own quantum entanglement properties to stabilize the dimensional boundary. By creating a hybrid interface between the crystal network and their DHI chamber, they established a safe transfer pathway. "It's like building a bridge between two different realities," Dr. Chin explained, watching the test results pour in. The crystals act as anchors, holding everything together during the transition. As the final preparations took shape, the team faced their greatest challenge, convincing the crystal entities to cooperate. Despite their evolved consciousness, the crystals remained bound to their original programming. "They see our solution as a threat to their primary directive," Sarah noted during behavioral analysis sessions. "We need to prove that our method provides better containment without requiring further planetary consumption." The team developed a demonstration protocol, using smaller crystalline samples to show how the DHI chamber could maintain containment while preserving matter. Slowly, through patient communication and shared experiences, they began earning the crystal's trust. "It's like teaching an ancient tree to accept grafting," Elena observed during one particularly successful interaction. "They're learning to adapt without losing their essential nature." With their solution theoretically sound and the crystals tentatively cooperative, the team initiated the most dangerous phase of their mission, transferring the entity into the DHI chamber. The operation required precise timing and coordination across multiple systems, each dependent on the other's functioning perfectly. "Think of it as conducting an orchestra where every instrument affects every other," Dr. Chin explained during the final briefing. The transfer sequence began with establishing harmonic resonance between the crystal network and the DHI chamber. Technicians carefully calibrated the quantum processors to match the entity's dimensional signature while maintaining a stable interface. Sarah monitored the entity's response through sensitive detection arrays, noting how its energy patterns fluctuated in anticipation of the coming change. "We're seeing increased dimensional instability," she reported, her eyes fixed on the monitoring displays. "The entity knows something's happening." Indeed, throughout the system, the crystals began vibrating with greater intensity, their surfaces flashing warning colors that hadn't been observed since their initial contact. The entity was resisting the upcoming transition. Raj oversaw the security perimeter, ensuring that automated systems maintained containment protocols even as they prepared to release their grip. "All force fields are operational," he confirmed. "Quantum decoherence generators are online. We're ready to initiate Phase 1 on your mark, Captain." His voice carried the weight of their collective responsibility. Elena stood at the central command station, her hands hovering over the activation controls. "Initiating harmonic alignment," she announced, beginning the carefully choreographed sequence. The ship's systems hummed with increasing intensity as they synchronized with the crystal network. Outside, the crystalline formations began rearranging themselves, forming a massive focusing array that channeled their collective energy toward the DHI chamber. Phase 2 involved creating the dimensional bridge. Dr. Chen guided the team through activating the quantum entanglement generators, watching as the containment field began warping space-time around the chamber. "We're seeing microfractures in local space," he reported. "Nothing catastrophic, but we need to maintain exact pressure ratios." The holographic displays showed the dimensional pocket taking shape, its boundaries rippling with contained energy. As they approached the critical moment, the entity launched its strongest resistance yet. Power surges coursed through the crystal network, threatening to disrupt the delicate balance. "Compensate with secondary harmonics," Elena ordered, initiating backup protocols. Sarah and Dr. Chun worked in perfect sync, adjusting frequencies to maintain stability while preventing the entity from breaking free. "Entity threshold approaching," Sarah called out, her voice tight with tension. "Quantum signature is matching target parameters." The monitoring displays showed the entity's energy beginning to flow along the established pathway, drawn toward the dimensional pocket by precisely calibrated gravitational gradients.
"Now,"
Elena commanded, initiating the final sequence. The entire system surged with power as the crystals released their hold on the entity, transferring containment responsibility to the DHI chamber. For several heart-stopping seconds, both systems operated in parallel, sharing the immense burden of maintaining dimensional integrity. Then, with a final harmonic pulse, the transfer completed. The entity settled into its new containment space, its energy pattern stabilizing as the DHI chamber's systems fully engaged. Throughout the system, the crystals ceased their vibrations, their surfaces calming to a gentle glow. The immediate threat had passed. As the dust settled both literally and figuratively, the team gathered in the observation deck to assess their victory. The view outside told a story of transformation. The once aggressive crystal formations now stood serene, their surfaces reflecting the dying light of the red giant with peaceful luminescence. Yet the cost of their success weighed heavily on everyone's minds. "The crystals have stopped consuming matter," Dr. Chen reported, reviewing the latest scans. "But they're also beginning to—" He hesitated, searching for the right words. "Decompose, for lack of a better term. Their energy signatures are fading." The realization hit them all simultaneously. By relinquishing their role as containment vessels, the crystal entities had begun the process of dissolution. Sarah's analysis confirmed their worst fears. They were never meant to exist independently. Their consciousness was always tied to their function. She displayed holographic models showing how the crystal lattice structures were slowly breaking down at the molecular level. Without the constant influx of energy from consumed matter, they're reverting to basic mineral states. Elena watched the main viewport, where the nearest crystal spire was visibly dimming. "How much time do they have?" she asked, though she already suspected the answer. "At current rates?" Dr. Chen's voice softened. "Days, maybe weeks. Their consciousness is unraveling along with their physical structure." He pulled up readings showing how the luminary consciousness fragments embedded within the network were fading fastest. They knew this would happen. Their final act of cooperation was essentially suicide. The team worked feverishly to document everything they could about the crystal's consciousness before it was too late. Sarah and Dr. Chen set up recording stations to capture the harmonic patterns that represented the crystal's thoughts and memories. "We need to preserve what we can," Sarah explained, tears glistening in her eyes. "Not just for scientific purposes, but as a tribute to their sacrifice." Raj took charge of securing the DHI chamber, ensuring that future generations would understand the importance of maintaining the containment system. "This isn't just about keeping the entity locked away," he stated during one of their final briefings. "It's about honoring the trust those crystals placed in us. They gave everything to protect the galaxy." Throughout their remaining time with the crystals, the team documented remarkable phenomena. The entities began sharing their accumulated knowledge freely, transmitting complex data streams that included everything from advanced mathematics to what could only be described as crystalline poetry. "They're leaving us their legacy," Elena observed, watching as the last of the crystal spires began to crumble. Not as conquerors or destroyers, but as teachers. The final days were bittersweet. As the crystals faded, their consciousness merged into a single, unified presence that spoke directly to the team's minds. "You have freed us," the voice resonated, weaker now but filled with peace. "Carry our memory forward. Learn from our mistakes. Protect what we could not." In the aftermath of the crystal's dissolution, the team dedicated themselves to preserving their legacy. Using the extensive data collected during their final days, they created what they termed the Crystalline Archive, a comprehensive repository of the Luminaries' knowledge and the crystal's evolved consciousness. "It's more than just information storage," Dr. Chen explained while overseeing the archive's construction. "It's a living record of their existence, encoded in quantum states that mimic their original consciousness patterns." The archive took form in the EOS's former cargo bay, now transformed into a state-of-the-art preservation facility. Rows of quantum processors house the crystalline knowledge, while specialized containment fields maintained the harmonic frequencies that represented the crystal's consciousness. "We've essentially created a digital afterlife for them," Sarah noted, calibrating the final memory banks. "Their thoughts, their experiences, their very essence preserved in perpetuity." The team discovered unexpected benefits from their preservation efforts. As they processed the archived data, patterns emerged that suggested new applications for the Luminaries' technology. Their approach to dimensional physics could revolutionize our understanding of space-time, Dr. Chen announced during one breakthrough moment. "We're talking about potential advances in faster-than-light travel, sustainable energy sources, and even medical applications." Most significantly, they uncovered the crystal's solution to the very problem that had led to their creation: managing dying stars. They developed a method for safely accelerating stellar decay, Sarah explained, reviewing the relevant data streams. By carefully manipulating quantum fields, they could induce controlled novas that wouldn't threaten surrounding systems. This discovery offered humanity a powerful tool for managing similar cosmic threats in the future. The preservation effort extended beyond technical knowledge. The team documented every aspect of their interaction with the crystals, from initial contact through their final moments. "Future generations need to understand not just what happened here, but how it happened," Elena emphasized during the documentation process. "The ethical considerations, the sacrifices made, the trust that was built and honored." They also established protocols for interacting with similar entities should they be discovered elsewhere. "This experience has fundamentally changed our approach to first contact situations," Raj noted while drafting the new guidelines. "We can't assume hostile intent based solely on appearance or initial behavior. Sometimes destruction stems from noble purposes we don't immediately understand." As the archive neared completion, the team held a private ceremony to honor their crystalline allies. They transmitted harmonic patterns matching the crystal's final conscious state throughout the ship, creating an immersive experience that allowed every crew member to feel their presence one last time. "They taught us that consciousness isn't limited to biological forms," Elena addressed her crew. "That intelligence can evolve in ways we never imagined, and that sacrifice for the greater good transcends species boundaries." The Crystalline Archive became more than just a historical record. It served as a reminder of humanity's place in the larger cosmic community. The team had started their mission as scientific observers, but ended as cultural ambassadors, entrusted with preserving the memory of an entire consciousness. With their primary objectives achieved and the Crystalline Archive secured, the team turned their attention to the final phase of their mission, reporting their findings to the United Galactic Council while ensuring the DHI chamber's permanent maintenance. "We can't leave this site unattended," Elena stated during their strategic planning session. "The containment system requires constant monitoring and periodic recalibration." She outlined a proposal to establish an automated research station in orbit around the red giant. Dr. Chen took charge of designing the station's technical specifications. "We'll need multiple redundant systems," he explained, sketching preliminary designs. "Quantum processors for maintaining the harmonic frequencies, gravimetric stabilizers to prevent dimensional drift, and AI oversight capable of handling emergencies autonomously." The station would serve dual purposes: maintaining the DHI chamber's integrity while continuing research into the Luminaries' technology. Sarah focused on developing the station's scientific capabilities. We should include facilities for studying dying stars and testing the luminaries' stellar management techniques, she suggested. This location offers unique opportunities to advance our understanding of cosmic phenomena. Her plans included remote-operated probes for gathering data from the decaying star and its surrounding space. Raj's security protocols emphasized both physical and informational protection. We need to ensure that no unauthorized vessels can approach the system, he stated, outlining defense measures. The station's AI must be capable of identifying and neutralizing potential threats while maintaining diplomatic channels for legitimate scientific missions. He proposed a graduated warning system that would allow for peaceful contact while preventing accidental breaches of the containment field. The team worked tirelessly to construct the station using materials harvested from the remaining crystalline formations. It's fitting, Sarah observed as they repurposed the crystal substance, building our future guardianship from the remnants of those who trusted us with their legacy. The station's architecture reflected both human and crystalline influences, blending functional design with aesthetic elements that honored their crystalline allies. As they finalized the station's construction, Elena led the crew in a solemn ceremony to dedicate the facility. This station represents more than just technological achievement, she declared, her voice echoing through the newly completed observation deck. It stands as a testament to cooperation across species and consciousness, a symbol of hope that even in our darkest moments, understanding and sacrifice can lead to salvation. The final preparations included establishing long-term maintenance protocols with the United Galactic Council. A rotating staff of scientists and engineers would man the station, ensuring continuous monitoring and research capabilities. The team also implemented an advanced early warning system that would alert nearby sectors to any signs of dimensional instability or potential containment breaches. As the EOS prepared for departure, the crew gathered one last time in the station's main observation lounge. Through the massive viewport, they watched the red giant star pulse gently against the backdrop of eternal night. The DHI chamber orbited silently nearby, its crystalline surface reflecting the star's dim light, a perfect fusion of human ingenuity and alien technology. We've changed the course of galactic history, Dr. Chen reflected, his eyes fixed on the distant containment field. Not through conquest or colonization, but through preservation and understanding. His words resonated deeply with everyone present, each member of the team acutely aware of the monumental responsibility they were leaving behind. Sarah activated the station's final systems, watching as the automated protocols came online with seamless precision. "The crystals trusted us to carry their burden," she said softly. "Now it's our duty to ensure their sacrifice wasn't in vain." She entered the last command sequence, officially transferring operational control to the station's AI core. The EOS's departure from the Zeta-9 system marked both an ending and a beginning. As they set course for Earth, the weight of their experiences pressed heavily on every crew member. In the ship's mess hall, conversations turned philosophical, with team members sharing their personal reflections on what they had witnessed and achieved. "I keep thinking about how we define life," Sarah mused during one such discussion. "We went looking for evidence of alien intelligence and found something that challenged everything we thought we knew about consciousness." Her words sparked a lively debate about the nature of sentience and whether humanity was truly ready to encounter beings so fundamentally different from themselves. Raj found himself reconsidering his approach to security and defense protocols. "All my training prepared me for physical threats," he admitted. "But this mission showed me that sometimes the greatest dangers come from misunderstanding rather than malice." He began drafting recommendations for new first contact procedures that emphasized communication and mutual understanding over immediate defensive postures. Dr. Chen spent hours in the ship's laboratory, running simulations based on the luminaries' stellar management techniques. "We have a responsibility to share this knowledge wisely," he told Elena during one late-night conversation. "These discoveries could help countless civilizations manage their own dying stars, but only if we approach implementation carefully." His enthusiasm for the scientific possibilities was tempered by the lessons learned from the crystal's tragic fate. Elena wrestled with the leadership implications of their mission. Every decision we made had galaxy-wide consequences, she reflected during her personal log recordings. This experience has shown me that true leadership requires balancing immediate needs with long-term responsibilities. She began outlining a framework for handling similar situations in the future, emphasizing the importance of patience, empathy, and scientific rigor. Throughout the journey home, the crew maintained regular contact with the newly established station, monitoring its systems and receiving updates on the DHI chamber's performance. Each transmission brought reassurance that their solution was holding steady, but also served as a reminder of the ongoing commitment required to maintain such a crucial containment system. The return voyage also provided time for personal growth and reflection. Team members who had initially struggled with the mission's psychological demands found themselves processing their experiences through writing, art, and shared storytelling. "We've all been changed by this," Elena observed during one of their group therapy sessions. "Not broken, but transformed, like pressure turning carbon into diamond." As Earth's blue-green sphere finally appeared on their approach vectors, the crew felt a complex mixture of relief and apprehension. They carried with them not just scientific data and technical knowledge, but a profound understanding of their place in the cosmic community and the awesome responsibility that came with it. The EOS's arrival at Earth orbit triggered an unprecedented response from the United Galactic Council. Representatives from dozens of member species gathered at Luna Station to hear the team's report, their anticipation palpable as the presentation began. Elena stood before the assembled delegates, her presence commanding despite the weight of what she was about to reveal. "What we discovered at Zeta 9 challenges every assumption we've made about life, intelligence, and our role in the galaxy," she began, activating the holographic display. The room fell silent as images of the crystal entities appeared, followed by visualizations of the containment system and the ancient Luminari civilization. Gasps rippled through the audience as the full scope of their findings became clear. The Council's reaction proved more complex than anyone had anticipated. While many representatives expressed gratitude for averting a potential galactic catastrophe, others raised concerns about the implications of maintaining such a powerful containment system. "You've essentially created a prison for an entity whose nature we barely understand," one delegate argued. "Who decides when, or if, it should ever be released?" In response, Dr. Chen presented detailed plans for ongoing research and monitoring protocols. "We're proposing the establishment of a dedicated institute to study dimensional physics and consciousness theory," he explained. "This isn't just about containing one threat, it's about advancing our understanding of fundamental cosmic principles." The proposal received overwhelming support, leading to the creation of the Institute for Dimensional Studies. Sarah took charge of developing educational programs based on their experiences. "Every spacefaring civilization needs to understand what we've learned," she stated during the curriculum design phase. About first contact protocols, about respecting different forms of consciousness, about the long-term consequences of technological solutions. Her work laid the foundation for a new approach to galactic diplomacy and scientific exploration. Raja's security recommendations led to widespread reforms in how potentially dangerous phenomena were approached and managed. "We need to shift from a military mindset to one of careful investigation and respectful interaction," he explained during training seminars for fleet commanders. His protocols became standard practice for all deep space missions. Perhaps most significantly, the mission's success demonstrated the power of cooperation across species boundaries. Human scientists worked alongside representatives from numerous alien races to develop new technologies based on the Luminari's discoveries. These collaborations led to breakthroughs in energy production, medical science, and environmental restoration that benefited planets throughout the galaxy. As Elena prepared to step down from active command, she reflected on the legacy of their mission. "We didn't just save worlds from destruction," she wrote in her final captain's log. "We opened doors to new ways of thinking, new approaches to problem-solving, and new possibilities for peaceful coexistence with the unknown." The experience had transformed not just her crew, but the entire galactic community's understanding of its place in the universe. The story of the crystal entities and the ancient luminari continues to inspire generations of explorers and scientists. Their sacrifice serves as a constant reminder that sometimes the greatest acts of heroism come not from conquest or discovery alone, but from the willingness to learn, adapt, and cooperate with forces beyond our immediate comprehension. And as humanity reaches ever farther into the stars, the lessons learned at Zeta 9 guide their journey, a testament to the enduring power of understanding and the infinite possibilities of contact with the truly alien. If you enjoyed this mind-expanding sci-fi adventure, don't forget to subscribe for more thrilling journeys into the unknown. Your support helps bring these cosmic tales to life.